Alrighty guys, I did say we were going to open up some parts tonight. It actually is much later than I had originally expected. Good afternoon guys, what's going on? Hope everyone's having a great, wonderful day thus far. It is weather report, the sun is shining, it's got a nice breeze to it, fall is in the air, you can tell it is going to be a great day. So I'm just going to explain to you what we are going to be doing today and we're going to go from there. So where we left off is we have the flex plate, the engine adapter plate, and the starter that basically needs to come off. So what we're going to have to do first is get the starter out, and we'll go over how to do that, and then we're going to undo the flex plate and the engine adapter plate, get that out, and pretty much then we have the back of the engine completely bare. Pretty much from there, once those things are off, pretty much it's just the back of the engine and the rear main seal, which we will be changing. So let's get that stuff off. The flex plate's pretty easy, just got to undo these bolts, that comes right off. Then you have some bolts here for your engine adapter plate, but you can't take your engine adapter plate off. You could remove it with the starter on, which we actually might do, but we still have to undo our wires from the starter, that's for sure. Alrighty guys, and there you have it, an in-depth look on your rear main seal. That's what it looks like. You got to take all those bolts out. It's kind of got a little housing around it. You basically unbolt that whole entire assembly there, and that is the rear main seal right there on the back. We did take the engine adapter plate out with the starter on it, left those bolts right in, and all we did was then disconnect our two wires and the main power wire right there. Disconnected those two wires, left it right on, and the engine adapter plate is now off. You can actually physically see how thin that thing is and how thick the 47 NV4500 plate is to make up the difference for those bigger converters that the 47s and 48s have. So that is where we're at. We do have some cleanup to do. Like I said, we will be replacing that rear main seal. But for now, we are going to get cleaned up a little bit. As you can see, all of our wiring, all this first gen, you know, seeing how old it is, it's all just deteriorating, crumbling apart. So we're going to have to re-loom definitely a couple parts of this harness, even though we're not really going to be using a whole lot of it. So I have not started to loosen our starter to our engine plate, but if you look at the third bolt over here, you can kind of see somebody started to loosen itself. So always a kind of good idea. It's not really ever on your mind until your starter's loose, wobbling around, but I did not loosen that up while you're changing your oil on your old truck. I mean, second gen, third gen, I've seen it happen on quite a few. Just make sure you go over your starter bolts. It's really not that big of a deal while you're underneath there. Make sure those are tight, because I have heard quite a few stories of starters loosening up. Alrighty guys, so we're just going over quickly here the second gen adapter plate and the first gen starter. So I did lay the new flex plates right next to each other. Those look to have the same height, but we are going over the starter stuff here, and it looks like both those bolt holes line up perfectly, but this back one is quite a bit off. So if I had to guess, and correct me if I'm wrong for those of you guys who maybe have done a 47 swap on a first gen, it looks like we might have to run a second gen starter. So leave a comment below. Now would be a great time to give this video a big thumbs up. But second gen adapter plate with the new flex plate, looks like we do probably need to run a different new starter. So we'll get one of those, no big deal. This still has to be cleaned up. Still is not looking all that great. We did get all the grease off it, but probably need to clean that up a little bit, maybe paint that before it goes in the truck. So, but at least pretty much all of the hard parts besides the rear still, and that's pretty much ready to come out. So that's, I consider that out. So we got everything cleaned out. So new rear, transmission, then we need a drive shaft, then we need to do all the other miscellaneous stuff here. We're actually gonna switch gears here for a little bit here. The shop, I can't find anything in. It is just a complete disaster. It took me about 15 minutes just to find the camera here. So we got a lot to clean up. We need to clean up this junk around here, all that crap on the trailer. it's just been overdue for a little while. So we need to switch gears. We're gonna clean up. We're actually gonna jump to a quick, short mail time here real quick. And then we actually got some more parts in for the first gen. I'm telling you, parts coming in on the daily for the first gen project. So we're gonna go over those, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about the difference between the 12 and the 13 millimeter pump that I could have got, but I got the 12 mil instead. So we're gonna talk about that for a little bit. So stay tuned for more new parts at the end of this video. All right, so we haven't done mail time in quite a while, and I apologize for that, but there really hasn't been all that much. This is from Richard in New York. Dear Greg, I enjoy your YouTube channel very much. I find it to be very informative and entertaining at the same time. John, get well soon. I've always been a truck enthusiast for many years. Looking forward to more great videos. Thank you very much, Richard in New York. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. This next one... All for everyone. I don't know if this has even got a name on it. Oh, look at that. Guardian Bell. Never ride faster than your Guardian. I know it's a little late, but I started riding bike 5 days before we got the news. Since then, I've been learning the lingo and the story behind the Guardian Bell. The bell protects you from road demons, wrecking your shit. Again, Kyle K. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. We'll make sure that goes, I think this is supposed to actually go on your bike. One thing I did forget to mention, this is gonna be for John too. John's getting another bike eventually, I think, sometime. So this is gonna be for John too. Thank you very much, Kyle. We appreciate that. We appreciate everything you guys send to us, whether small, little, big, whatever it may be. We appreciate it. Everyone does here, whether it's for me or anybody else. This one is from Nathan Fox. Oh boy, look at that. And we got two United States Antarctic Program, National Science Foundation. Is there a note in here? No note? No note. Oh, that's right. I know where this is from. I know where this is from. I'm going to pull up the message. I'm going to pull up the message. There's a rock in here, and I know what this... Now the rock makes sense. I got this message on Facebook, I believe. 1 second, I will pull it up. So there's some rocks in those Nalgene bottles from Nathan. Thank you again, Nathan. I appreciate that. They are called EREBUS crystals. They came from the southernmost active volcano in the world. Erebus crystals? I probably butchered that, I'm sorry. But thank you very much, guys. That's going to do it for the mail time. PO box always down in the description if you want to send us anything, love mail, hate mail, whatever it may be. So down in the description. We're going to get to cleaning up now, and I will catch up with you guys in a little bit. I did say we were going to open up some parts tonight. It actually is much, much later than I had originally expected. Had some other things that came up that we had to do. So it is actually already past 11 o'clock. But the show must go on, people. So this part does have to do with the 12 valve and the P-pump swap. I'm sure you can guess by the shape exactly what it possibly may be. I'm sure that you can guess what is in this box by the shape of the long cylindrical tube and also our little retainer here for the cam. When we do P-pump swap the first gen, we do have to change the entire front engine case, therefore taking the cam out, which obviously the Hamilton cam behind me is the one that's going to go back in it. That is a 188 220 and a cam retainer for the front gear because 12 valves, unlike common rails, I believe, that have straight cut gears, the 12 valves have helical cut gear, so naturally at higher RPM that gear wants to try and walk off the front of the cam. So that retainer bolts it to there, holds it tight, so that's what we're going to be using as well. So just briefly to kind of go over, I mentioned yesterday we were going to kind of go over why I went with a maxed out 12 mil pump versus a 13 mil pump right off the bat. So being new to the mechanical side of things, I know that 12 mil pumps are a little bit more street driver friendly than the 13 mil pumps. On top of that, me and Seth kind of discussed where the truck was headed right off the bat and just kind of getting our feet wet in the mechanical, like I said, in the mechanical side. So we went with a 12 mil. On top of all of that as well, the 13 mil pumps definitely need more lift pump fuel pressure. We are still gonna have to change the lift pump that we just put on there. Don't worry, we already have plans for that in the works with the guys over at AirDog. It's gonna be a sweet unit, but on top of that, we needed bigger injection lines, more fuel pressure. There's just a little bit more detail than just slapping on this pump with stock lines and a couple other little things. So we decided to go with the 12 mil just for the ease of a little bit more installation and a little bit more user friendly right off the bat. So that's kind of the direction why we went that route rather than a full-blown 13. So as I'm sure quite a few of you guys know, on top of just changing out the pump, the gear housing, the cam coming off, you know, P-pumps requiring much more fuel pressure. We also need to get our injector sent out. So there are a lot of other little details rather than just saying, hey, we're gonna throw this pump on. So actually kind of brings me to a point that I've been meaning to kind of bring up. I get a lot of questions about, you know, certain projects and like how much this costs and how much that cost, and really just a word of advice for you guys. And I know if you guys have been doing this for a while, the main takeaway point is it's not the main price. So let's just take an AirDog or a fuel or a lift pump, for example. So you got your price of the lift pump. That's $600 or $700, whatever it may be. That's a big chunk of change. So you're like, okay, you save up for it, you save up for it. Well, you know, if you want to do a fuel sump, if you want to do, you know, the black hose upgrade, if you want to do the fuel filter delete, if you want to do the couple other little things, it's important to try and plan as much as possible and think of every little detail, because by the time you just took your $600 or $700, you know, upgrade, now you're kind of closer to $1,000 by the time you add in all the little stuff. So the little stuff is just as important. It's all the details that set your stuff apart from everybody else, but it's also the stuff that will nickel and dime you that you don't think of until you get that, you go to put it on, or you're trying to plan, you're like, oh crap, I forgot that. Oh crap, I forgot that. Next thing you know, you're like, man, I didn't really knew I was gonna be spending this much money. So just keep that in mind. It comes with every single little project that you're gonna run into. The big ticket items are hard enough to kind of gather up the spare change for, and then on top of that, all the other little stuff. So just try and plan for that. And that's kind of the things that I try and point out to you guys sometimes, that, hey, these are the extra things that I went along with this. So just keep that in mind, you know, just a takeaway point of the night. So WrenchWorks launch, I believe, is going to be coming tomorrow, guys. So stay tuned for that. It's gonna be awesome. It is going to be awesome. I'm so pumped to bring this to you guys. So stay tuned for tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was another little short video. We got a lot of things going on in the background. So take care. Have a great night, guys. Hit that like button before you leave. Subscribe if you have not already. See you tomorrow.